The next section that I want to talk to you about in multimedia is focused on the design and the user interface. So the chapter concepts are understanding the design guidelines of appearance and interactivity. Web design is a tricky topic. The novelty of web design should never cause you to toss aside basic standards of design. In fact, sometimes the best web designs are the ones that go unnoticed because they are so cohesive and functional. As discussed in Chapter 2, the key to designing any website begins at the planning phase. A plan provides the structure for all phases, including the design phase. Once the design strategy and planning documents have been developed, and while the multimedia elements are being prepared, the overall look and feel of the website should begin to take shape for you. During the planning phase, a design strategy should have been established with input from the client and all members of the team. As you develop the look and feel of the website, always refer to the design strategy and always focus on the user. Your design must be user-centered, not designer-centered. It must be focused on what the user wants and needs, not what you think is cool. The development team should make the design simple, easy to understand, and easy to use. The entire design process is undertaken for the benefit of the user. The user should not have to be taught how the navigation scheme and media controls work. These components of the multimedia website should be intuitive. From the moment the first web page appears and throughout the interactive process, users should know where they are and where they want to go and where they can go. The home page, which is the entry page to the website, should indicate what is contained in the website and how to navigate through it. In addition to the design strategy, the design team should allow the principles of multimedia design that have been established over time. They should follow these principles. Developers use these principles as design guidelines, which are based on the target audience, content, and type of website, rather than an absolute design rules. Multimedia design guidelines help the developer achieve the overriding design consideration from which the entire website flows. The design guidelines fall into two broad categories, which are appearance and interactivity. If you want your website to be credible, you have to design each page of the website just as carefully as you would create any piece of company or organizational correspondence. An accurate website with superb visual design and high editorial standards will inspire confidence in your users. Design guidelines related to overall appearance of a website include the metaphor, consistency, template, and content. Your metaphor is a figurative representation that links content of site to established mental models that we have, such as your e-commerce metaphor is the electronic shopping cart. Metaphors must be concrete and obvious for your users, consistent with your website's content. Metaphors must be appropriate, otherwise they mislead and confuse your users. And metaphors should reinforce the message, appeal to a target audience without detracting from your content. Consistency is an essential component of websites. Applies to both appearance and navigation schemes. Your navigation bar should remain consistent from one page to the next. And here it shows consistency of theme for your iPod there. Your precise layout indicating where various elements will appear on your web page is your template. It dictates positions of various elements such as graphics, headings, menus, text, and your navigation bar. Templates can aid the design process in several ways. It can help provide your consistency, it can shorten the development time, and it prevents object shift. Templates that utilize grids can prevent objects from shifting on the page to new locations. And here it shows an example template. All multimedia elements, text, graphics, animation, sound, and video, should complement content, not be the focus of the pages. A major consideration in designing a site is determining what content you need and how many levels users must navigate. Less text is usually better. Excess content requires more levels, and more levels add to confusion and frustration for your users. Reduce levels by providing hyperlinks, also called links. Make sure content is always accessible. Users do not read a web page. They scan it, looking for keywords and links. First-time visitors to a website generally spend less than 60 seconds on your web page. So keep that in mind. Website must capture your visitors' interest in a short amount of time. Text still the primary element used to convey information, and it must be readable. Okay, the colors must be clear. It must be large enough, sharp enough that they can read it. Always test your color and background combinations to make sure that everything is clear and readable. So be careful of tiled backgrounds that makes text difficult to read, such as in this instance here. Replace parts of original web page with new content with your links. Gives users a frame of reference and allows users to return quickly to previously viewed pages. Allows designers to keep text on each page to a minimum by using links. Alright, another thing to think about in appearance, you need a balanced layout, movement, color scheme, independence, functionality, and unity of the site in the pages. So a balanced layout in web page design refers to the distribution of optical weight in your layout. Optical weight is the ability of an element to attract the user's eye. Each element has optical weight as determined by its nature and its size. Nature of an element refers to its shape, color, brightness, or type. Balance determined by the weight of the element and their position on the web page. You have three types of balance: symmetrical, asymmetrical, and none. So this here shows some balanced layouts. The one on the left shows a symmetrical design, and the one on the right shows asymmetrical. Symmetrical balance is arranging elements as mirrored images on both sides of a centered line. Symmetrical design is static, suggests order and formality, is appropriate to highlight corporate image of conservative organizations. Asymmetrical balance is arranging non-identical elements on both sides of a center line. Asymmetrical design is dynamic, suggests diversity and informality. It might be appropriate for entertainment sites for a feeling of movement and discovery. It talks a little bit about white space. Do not forget that you need white space. The blank areas on a page where text and other elements are not found. Blank space does not have to be white. Users like space between their elements. So here it shows use of white space. Too much. Let me say something else about white space. We think fill it full, but there has to be that break between your elements so that it draws their eye to an image or a piece of text. Too much on the page at one time can be unsettling, and confusing. So you want to have that broken up areas where you have white space, black space, cream space, whatever, where there's no image or text, so that users' eyes can focus on the important elements on the page. Alright, movement relates to how the user's eye moves through the elements on your page. There's an optical center, a point somewhat above the physical center of the page. As designers for a global community, critical to include visual clues such as arrows that help direct the viewer's movement on the page. In our Western culture, the tendency is to move through the contents of the web page by going from the upper left corner to the lower right. And as we design for the global community, it's critical to include visual clues, again, such as arrows, that help people know where they need to be focused on the page. To have user work through content in a more structured way, you want to control where the user starts on the page, use lines or objects that point the user in a certain direction, use color gradients that go from light to dark that will also lead their eyes. Have people or animals look in the direction the user should be looking. Emphasize an element by making it a different shape or color. Surround it with white space, use a different font or type style, create borders, or use different backgrounds for selected objects. that will draw the user's eyes. The next element we want to talk about is color scheme. It's a powerful communication tool. Wrong colors may communicate the wrong message. Color evokes emotion and associations. Adding color changes the look of pages without adding to file size. And here it gives you some emotions that are supposed to be evoked by different colors. White is associated with words such as innocence, cleanliness, goodness. Black is associated with evil, fear, and death. Brown is associated with the words dirty and earthy. Yellow is associated with warmth, coward, or caution. Red is associated with hot, passion, and stop. Green is associated with the words envy, nature, and go. Blue is associated with cold, sadness, and the sky. So keep some of these color emotions in mind when you're designing your sites. There's some places you can actually Google the color schemes, and you can find other associations for different colors such as pink and purple and that sort of thing. I think purple's a royalty or something like that. But keep these color schemes in mind. They are important with the way people react to your website with a lot of use of one color. Increase visual appeal by using a color scheme. You improve readability. Color can signal changes in the context. Fewer colors create a cleaner, more tasteful look, and design with a monochromatic color scheme. It's easier to work with dark objects on light backgrounds. Web authoring programs include preset color schemes. Themes contain color schemes and consist of unifying design elements for bullets, fonts, and images. Alright, independent and functional. Keep site fresh and functional. Internal and external links should be maintained. Web pages need to be more freestanding than pages in print. And single web page may be only page viewed by the user. That first home page may be your only chance to pull that user into your site. So you need to keep that in mind. Your user should be able to display any page within 3 to 5 clicks of the mouse and return to the home page in one click. Navigation options, often presented in button or tablet or table formats, should be labeled clearly. Tech links should be color-coded. A sitemap that lists and provides links to the major topical areas as a quick reference for the viewer. A search feature is a useful tool for finding desired information. You should consider including contact information, last modified date, and link to the home page on every page of your website, such as in a footer like the one shown there at the bottom of the page, or the bottom of the slide. Alright, so for consistency, you should always include contact information. All well-designed websites provide information on how users can contact the company or organization. This is usually done through a Contact Us button and page that includes simple information such as company or organization name, address, phone or fax numbers, and email addresses. In addition, you should always provide a direct link to the webmaster's email address. Last date modified on any web page. The last date modified reference is indicative of how dynamic your page is, how well maintained it is. Users need to know when a page was last updated so they have confidence that the information is current. Your copyright notice. All original creative works are copyright protected and fall under the guidelines and regulations of the Copyright Act of 1976. In 1998, this act was reformed to become the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. This act updates U.S. copyright law for the digital age. As a user, even if a website does not expressly indicate that it is copyright protected, you should consider the content copyright protected. As a designer, it's always wise to include a copyright notice on your site. Links to the home page. Using search engines, users may enter a website from a page other than the home page. Consequently, it's important that the designer set up a link to the home page from all other pages of the site so that users can be quickly directed to the page that was intended to be the introductory page of the site. And then a frequently asked questions page can be helpful. This kind of page is a great place for users to go before they contact the company or organization through email or by phone to get answers to some of the simpler questions. Alright, finally your website must be presented as a unified piece. And then it talks about two types of unity. There's intra-page, or how the various page elements relate. That is, do all the elements fit in? An element that seems out of place can be disconcerting to a user, and it can prevent the design from achieving the desired effect for a particular site or for a web page. Interpage unity is interactive design that users encounter as they navigate from one page to another. It provides consistency throughout the entire multimedia website to have the interpage unity. You want to maintain consistency in shapes, colors, text styles, and themes throughout your site. In games or entertainment sites, unified design may be too dull, so you may have to break this unity for some types of sites, but overall you want to maintain some consistency. Users appreciate common metaphors, color schemes, navigation methods, that sort of thing. Alright, and then interactivity. Developers must design the site's interactivity. Interactive design must be user-centered. If sound is played, a user should be able to adjust the volume or turn it off. Users decide to play a video or download a plugin, it should be the user's choice. And then user interface is crucial. When designing the user interface, you're establishing the foundation of the website. The interface gives users direct control over the website. The metaphors, the images, and concepts, all this is very important when you're thinking about what your user sees and interacts with. It's impossible to fully separate design from function in interactive sites. Users expect function and sophistication from all interfaces. Your navigational structure should be transparent to the user. They should easily know how to get to where they want to go. This shows Disney's site is visually appealing, functional, and user-centered. Users must know where they are within overall structure of your site at all times. Users want quick and easy access to the content of your site, and it should be easy to return to the home page from all other major pages. Users will not tolerate delays in loading. Research shows threshold of frustration for any computer-related task is about 10 seconds. To improve download time, you should always optimize graphics and use thumbnails. Optimized graphics have been fine-tuned to download more rapidly. A thumbnail image is a miniature display of an image that is linked to a larger version of that image. You want to optimize your multimedia elements and files as much as possible without sacrificing your quality. And keep your graphics, animation, and video files as small as possible, as smaller files will take less time to transmit from the web server. Broadband connections and improved compression and streaming have made multimedia possible on the web, but download speed is still a major issue in web page design, so you want to keep your page size smaller than 100K. Alright, and then you want to link effectively. Users favor menus with minimum of 5 to 9 links, and users favor a few web pages with lots of choices. Alright, additional links can be created through hotspots and mouse overs in the text or the images of your site. Your goal is to provide users with the information they want in the fewest number of steps, shortest amount of time, and using the least amount of screen real estate. Web-based on cross-linking or cross-referencing. By establishing a clearly identified page of external links, users will not unknowingly leave your site. And you want to open your external links in separate browser windows so they still have access to your site. Alright. Just as readers use context to help them assess their place in a printed document, web users rely on context to help them determine where they are within the hierarchy of information on your website. So contextual clues for users include familiar and intuitive icons, a common color scheme, consistent method of navigation, and graphic similarity. Consistent approach to layout reinforces users' sense of context. Alright, you want to avoid long introductions of automatically scrolling text, narration, music, credits. You want to provide a way to skip or escape introductory elements. You want to provide a way for users to control the playing of animation, sound, and video. And then you want to provide your users with an opportunity for feedback. You want to give them an opportunity to establish an ongoing relationship with your company by signing up as a registered user to receive emailed newsletters and that sort of thing. Users need to be able to communicate with your company or organization online. There needs to be a way for them to contact you via email or some type of message system through your company. And this here shows the opportunity for feedback example where you're in the contact area, and it has different options there for order inquiries, merchandise inquiries, site feedback, and store feedback for Nordstrom. Okay, so that's just a sample of how to communicate with a company. Alright, and then equal access. Many people have disabilities that prevent them from taking advantage of media elements. Many visually impaired individuals use a text-based web browser. For them to take advantage of your content, you need to include alternative text because they can't see your images or your videos. So you need to have alternative text that tells them what that content would have been. Okay, there are laws in place that require websites that receive federal funding to be accessible by people with disabilities. So you check your government websites or w3.org to stay current on these laws so that you're in compliance. And that concludes the chapter on design of the user interface. And then you can look through the summary yourself for the major items that you should have picked up from that lecture. If you have any questions on this, let me know.